In this video, we're looking at a Platinum 3 Phoenix player who is the definition of all aim, no brain. But I don't want to keep you for any longer, so let's go ahead and get started, and you'll just see what I mean.
The first thing I look at is everyone's buys for the pistol round, because I'm always curious. Your buy's fine. Ghost flash, that's like perfectly fine, so no real complaints. Alright, nice shot. Alright, so I like that you're not a bitch. Now, I will say that if this is your decision and you wanted to just try to bitch them first round, I don't mind it. But when you get smoked off, you could just cancel, because I mean, if you look at this, there's a dart and a smoke that are on top of you. So you have to run through a dart that's going to be pinging you, which is going to get some of your teammates killed. And then you're running through a smoke as well. But I don't mind you just trying to bitch people down. So especially if like you're trying to set the tone, it's just more of a risky strategy to play in ranked, because typically playing slower will give you more opportunities in ranked. When you walk through a smoke, you have to be aware of like what angles you're kind of like exposing yourself to. So if you look here, these are all the angles that aren't smoked that you're exposing yourself to simultaneously. And when you throw the flash curved inward, which means anyone that's like stairs, so you throw it over here, anyone on this side isn't going to get blinded. I would rather take the opportunity to throw it this way and make sure that when I go out that it hits this and this, if that makes sense. So this is called a reverse flashing on Phoenix, and when you reverse flash, it's just throwing it the opposite way, so that way when you come out, you're basically good. So it really just depends on like what you're trying to hit. But I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to get you into the idea of is be aware of what angles you're exposing yourself to when you're flashing and what you actually are intentionally trying to flash. Like if you threw it to the left because you wanted to make sure you got this guy in lane no matter what, when you're flashing something, know what you're flashing. Because to me, you just threw it out in the center and hope to hit stuff. And now if you look in your inventory, you have a molly. So when you're clearing back sight, it's best to use utility to like force them into a position. And your molly's really good at this because you can throw a molly like this, and then it'll clear all of this like left side. And that way when you're entering, the only thing you have to look at is right side. You see how that'll give you advantage when trying to clear back sight. And not only that, but if they're in this corner, it forces them out, which is a free kill for you. Now I understand a lot of Phoenix players like, oh my god, but my molly heals me. It doesn't matter. Use it to clear angles. It's way better, I promise. So we're on an eco round. I noticed we don't really talk to our teammates. It doesn't look like we're a big communicator. I would start getting surface level comms. And what I mean by surface level comms, because everyone has to start somewhere. I'm not telling you to be fucking Jesus himself when it comes to comms. What I am saying is, hey guys, I want to get my orb. KO, can you knife aim in? You see how easy that would be? You force them to get you your orb. What is your goal when you buy second round? When you're on second round, what are you trying to do?
Normally I would say to like hit the enemy's economy as best as possible, and not to win the round, but at least like get something out of the round. Damage enemies.
Is that like your only goal?
Take out orbs if possible.
Those are two great things. Those are your exact goals. Your exact goal should actually be, let's get ult orbs, because ult orbs doesn't require fighting. What it requires is utility to force people off of angles and corners. Remember how we said KO knife? If you have KO knife here and it hits nobody, what are you free to do?
Take orbs.
So let's look at this. We got 1 kill, 1 death. So 1 orb, 1 death would put you at 4 orbs, correct? And then you run all the way back B after you get this, and then you get this orb. Now you're at 5 out of 6, which means going into your first buy round, you'd have an ult. In second round, you should be going in with the intention of, I want to get orbs, do some damage, hopefully, win some gunfights, maybe get bombed down. If you win, it's a massive plus, but the only way you win is if they really suck and they fuck up. So going into every round with a goal and understanding what your win conditions are is like a massive thing. Do you see what you're doing though? You guys are just like running around looking for fights. You're not like, oh, I want to do this. You're like, oh, I want to kill people. Figure out what you're trying to do and what portion of the map you're going to take. We'll talk about map control real quick. So look at the map. The way you see the map right now is you have B site, you have middle, and then you have A site. That's about how you see the map right now. I want to change that perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the map down into lanes. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So these are called extremity lanes. So this one and this one are called extremity lanes. And then these are called middle lanes. Each map has this variation of like things. And we can go through every map and we can kind of show this. You have your extremity lanes, right? And then you have your mid lanes. They are important to take sites if you want to do a split. Obviously, certain maps, it's more important to take care of the middle lanes and the extremity lanes, like bind. Where Ascent, if you really want to send it 5 through here, you can. Which is why a lot of lower elo players like Ascent more. Because guess what? If you send 5 through a main, you are in a much better situation. So moving on to this, notice what you're doing. You guys are fighting for fucking something. You're just looking to take a gunfight. You're not really thinking, okay, I want to go A, so we need A main and cat. That's not what you're thinking. You're just like, whatever. And then also, here's another thing that you can do is you can break down the map into compartments. So this is the mid compartment. This is the cat compartment. And then this is like a main compartment. and then this is B main compartment. So if you break down the map into compartments, control of each one of these gives you a little bit of an advantage past the barrier as an attacker. That's how I want you to start looking at the maps from now on. In your gameplay, you're just kind of fucking running it down. So also, if you ever have a Sage or a Skye on your team, don't burn your Molly for heal if you can get one of them to heal you. The Molly is just like a really underrated tool for not only stopping pushes, but just clearing corners. So here, you're one off your ult, you should be looking to get your ult B main and then just ult them and just take the site. So you should be communicating with your team, hey guys, I have my ult, let's fast it. And then you should just go grab orb.
Okay. I don't know.
I know what you wanted to do. You wanted to flash over. You should still grab the orb here, so that way you have your ult going in the next round, but you just kind of ignore it. Or if you were really being smart, which you could do, I don't know if you'll do this, but you'll let your teammate grab the orb, let your teammate plant, and you'll just go hunt the kill. I know you're not doing it for this specific reason, but I'm going to give you credit for it, that hunting kills here is okay because you have enough money and it will build your ult. But the issue is if you don't get the kill, because in ranked, your teammates are going to steal the kill from you. If you're gonna peek mid, ask for smoke. I mean, you're just like swinging people. The biggest thing with you is that you're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're just kind of running around looking for duels. Right? And mechanically, you're very good. Like I could see you climbing the ranks very fast with just a little bit of thought. Like here, where you have ult, just fucking rip it. So you're gonna do the mistake. I call this the classic Phoenix mistake. When you're going out, use utility. So treat your ult as if it's a normal life when you're playing Phoenix. So many people just run out like, oh, I'm just gonna not use any utility so that way I can use utility in my normal life. But if you use utility and you flash here and maybe you molly this corner and the Sage is forced out and like maybe even you die, but it gets you a trade or a kill, do you see that you just got a kill for nothing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you kind of need to do. Right? You're just kind of like running out and you're like, oh, hopefully I win my aim duel. See, and now this person's still here and she kills one of your teammates. But if you would have volleyed her with your ult, you would have been forced out. And then here you're just trolling. Just have your gun out, right?
What the hell?
Just literally just have your gun out. It's like, I don't know what else to tell you. So there's a rule of thumb. When you're scaling up the map, exposing yourself to new angles, you need to have your gun out. You only want to pull out your utility at the time you're going to use it. So this is something, a really bad habit that lower elo players have. So like you're here, you're pulling out your flash here, so that way when you get to here, you can use it. But why don't you just wait to here and then pull out your flash when you're here?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So here, it just seems like you're not sure what to do. You're like, fuck, what do I do now? When you're using your utility, you should treat it like an if-then statement. Remember how we talked about the flashes? Like if I flash here, then it blinds X angle, X angle, X angle, X angle. So if I molly here, then it allows me to do X, right? So you know there's a lot of pressure coming from CT because there's an opera there. So if I molly CT, that will then alleviate the pressure from the opera. If I molly stairs, it will then not allow them to peek up while I then scale lane. Do you see the difference of like what I'm saying? You're just like throwing a molly because you're like, oh, this seems like this is a good molly, but you don't know why you're doing it. So once you start understanding the why factor, it'll allow you to then have the proper reaction of going out lane to then do so. Do you see what I'm saying? And then like if you were worried about the smokes going away, you could have just like curved your wall and then just like went lane. Oh, what did we just do here? Oh yeah, 5v3 rule of numbers, run through smoke, try to take duel, lose fight, not resable position, fuck all that shit. That's just a basic rule of numbers. Anytime you're up numbers, just play trades, like you're good. The rule is that I always tell people is if you're +2, that you should always just play with your teammate and force yourself to play with your teammate. If you're +1 and you want to take a duel, I don't mind it. Like, so let's say you're 5v4 and you're like, fuck it, dude, I'm gonna go take a duel. It's not the worst. It's still obviously better to play trades, but if you're +2, by default, you should just be going sucking one of your teammates' dicks and playing with them.
What?
Here we have ult. Like, the way I see it is you don't plan for any... And this is what happens when you don't use your utility to your ult. You just die for free and you're like, god damn, what a worthless ult. But if you would have just waited, or you would have said, hey guys, let's hit B, and then the KO knife's here, and then you're fine, and your ult doesn't get shit on, it creates a lot of pressure. But you're playing A, perfectly fine. I don't mind it. I think Phoenix at A is pretty good. It's probably the best place you can play because his flashes work. If you're gonna go out of this, please flash. Alright, okay, this is really dumb though. Why is this dumb? Remember how we talked about map control? Do you get an advantage as a defender for fighting for mid? Probably not, right? Do you think that this peak, after everything I've taught you, is actually like an effective place to fight for as a defender? No, why? Because the risk is higher than the reward you get out of it. This is where compartments really come into play, is when you're playing defense. Because think about it. Think about compartments. If we have control over this compartment as a defender, it gives us earlier information on rotations, and like they have to take it from us using utility. And then in order to get control of this compartment, they then need to use even more utility. So then in post plant, they have less utility, and you got information earlier, which allowed for rotations to happen faster. Oh, you just shit on them. You actually just shit on these kids. I would have grabbed the orb, by the way. Like, grab the gun, grab the orb, pop my ult, and just run it through A main. Right. Good flash. You're definitely overextending, and you also don't calm that you have the bomb, so your teammates don't know, but it's all good. Okay, so this is something you need to start realizing as a player and paying attention to enemies' patterns. This is kind of like the last thing I really have to teach you. Here, this is like pattern recognition. So the enemies, tell me what they're doing actually.
Running into a main.
They're showing presence right away and hitting that site that they show presence at. So right away, they're either going A, or they're going B, or they're going mid. They're telling you exactly where they're growing in like the first 0.2 seconds. So when you realize that, when you realize they're going B, you can have two options. You can rotate and maybe path through mid to cut off their rotation if they like fail their B hit, or you can then just rotate B and get there fast for the rotation and then pop your ult. As they're like, maybe your teammates killed two and they're planting, then you would be here already and you'd be ulting as they're planting. That's just pattern recognition. Like you need to start understanding what the enemy is doing and what they're trying to do. These guys just always hit right away. It's like here, they showed 4 people, they hit, and then their hit got stuffed. Now watch, they're gonna come back mid because they don't know what to do, and then you're gonna take a duel. You're gonna win it, but it's not the best duel. Here's the thing, if you would have recognized this right away, you could have been in a position like this or like this, because you could have pushed through A main, you could have just sat here, and now all of a sudden with this, think about what your teammate, what you have. You hear them rotating through spawn, they cannot go through mid, so that means 3 of your teammates just have to sit B because you're alive here. You have so much and they have so little. Now, I'm not saying that little is bad. As a matter of fact, you know, 2 would be considered quite large, but, you know, sorry. I like penis jokes. I'm 5.
Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below, because God, I'd suck someone's dick to get put in the algorithm. YouTube, if you're watching this, just let me know.